Alright, it's that time again to sit down and plan another month in my bullet journal. This one, I have a feeling, will be the most popular video because, as you saw in the title, I did the Hunger Games. I feel like this is going to be the oddball of all of the movies I have for my bullet journal this year, just because this is like one that I would not consider family friendly, I guess. I mean, I guess it could be, but I know if I saw this when I was like 10, it probably would have freaked me out. I had to read the first book one year in school and the second book the next year, and I was like, I guess 12 maybe, and most of like the deep, like, core morals, I guess, parts of the story literally went over my head. It makes more sense now that I'm older, but I don't think kids really understand, like, the meaning and the story behind it. So, yeah, not necessarily kid-friendly in my opinion. Okay, this cover has to be the most tedious one I've done this whole year, just because there's so many tiny little intricate details. Like, their faces are each on there 4 times, and then you have the little Mockingjay pin on fire. But yeah, very tedious, lots of tiny little details. Took forever. For the calendar, I went with something a little bit different. I ended up doing a drop shadow calendar, so you'll see as I go along that the colors I ended up using are black and like a goldy yellow, just because the title is always in that goldy color. But I also went with green and orange. Green because that's her favorite color, and orange because that's his favorite color, so it made sense. I like orange, okay, but it's not my favorite, so I was like, yeah, I'll throw in some orange just to give it something different, make it more interesting. For the pictures in the top, I did, it's actually 2 pictures, I guess, but it's where in Catching Fire she's got the wedding dress on, and then once she starts spinning it turns into like the Mockingjay dress. And then in the bottom I did her at the very first reaping, and included Effie because Effie has to be one of my favorites. She's just really funny, and I like to see her character development and transformation from the first movie to the end of the series. My dashboard looks a little bit different this month. I am a dance teacher, so I'm working more days this season. So what I did was I made my work section bigger and my favorite section smaller. And for the picture, I put one of the first times you see Katniss in the movies with her bow and arrow. For my weeks, I am back to my 9-box weekly. I really like the 9-box because I have enough space to write my to-do lists and everything, but it also gives me a bigger base for decoration. So for the first week, I did Gale and Katniss in the woods, and then on the other side, I did Haymitch and Katniss when they are about to go to the actual games. And then the next week, I did a picture of Katniss and Rue because I like Rue. She shows that, you know, she doesn't want to be there. She's just made to do this, and she's terrified. Just like most of them are just there and they're terrified and they don't want to be here. They don't want to die. They want to be alive with their families. I also like that they have a little alliance moment and take care of each other, since she reminds Katniss of Prim, and I think it's really sweet. And on the other page, I'm now into Catching Fire, so I did a picture of Katniss and Prim giving a little sister hug. I thought those two went very nicely together, just because, you know, the sister and the girl who reminds her of her sister. And the next page, still into Catching Fire, I did them at the second reaping, along with Effie again. And then a picture of Katniss and Peeta, because I realized I haven't put him in here yet. He's not in here anywhere except for the cover page, so I figured it was time to put him in here. So there we are. Yeah, I had to put a picture of them two together, because it just makes sense. For this week, I did a picture of them on the beach in the arena and a picture of Katniss and Joanna from Mockingjay. And on to the last week, I did a picture of the army crew, and the last and final picture, very fitting, is the last thing you see in the last movie, and they're sitting there in the little meadow having a little happy family moment and just happy butterfly endings. Happy endings are my favorite. If there's not a happy ending, I have to have the character either get through what they're trying to get through in the movie, they have to overcome, or the bad guy has to die. The other movies have the thing of, you know, she survives, he survives, but this one I think is my favorite movie, the last one, because there's a happy ending, and I love happy endings. So I did not mention the quote I picked when I was on the cover page the first time. I don't know if this is from Mockingjay Part 1 or Part 2. I feel like it's from Part 1, but I'm not positive. Anyway, it's, "I am done being a piece in his game." And I think that is like the perfect quote to show the theme of all of the movies and the purpose behind the characters. After thinking about it, I might should have waited to do this theme until the prequel movie comes out, because it comes out in November. Maybe, since it's coming out soon, maybe that'll give me an excuse to redo this theme. I think all of the books relate to today's world and culture and politics very nicely. And yeah, I love the story and the, you know, stand up for what's right kind of aspect. And speaking of the books, I totally want more. So Suzanne Collins, if you're watching, I've got you some ideas. I would love a sequel to the prequel, because, spoiler, if you don't want spoilers and you haven't read it, mute it for a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds, starting now. You know, you don't really know what happens to Lucy Gray at all. She just kind of like disappears. So I would like to know what happened to her. I'm guessing she's alive, but I would like to have a sequel and then like tie her in somehow to the other books maybe, and show kind of like what it's like to be a victor. I don't know. I think that would be cool. I would also like a sequel of Mockingjay, because it ended great. Like I said earlier, I like the happy ending, but I would like a book that happens between the end of the chapter and the epilogue. Like, talk about them like rebuilding their country and how they go to a better government, and like, that would be cool. Yeah, so talk about like their story after Paler takes over, and I would like to go from each of the characters that are alive. What is happening in District 12? I want Effie to come back to District 12 because I miss her. How are things at the Capitol? What is Katniss's mom doing? What's Gale doing? Is he going out defending people? What are they doing? Like, I would love to know stuff like that. This is kind of off subject, but I would like for Katniss and Peeta's daughter to end up marrying Finnick's son. I think that would be perfect. And also, Effie and Haymitch need to be a thing. And even other books, kind of like The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but related to other characters. So like the backstory of like Haymitch. Like, I'd like to know, how did he win? But I would like to know his story. I would like to know, how did Effie become the way she is? Did she grow up like Snow did in the Capitol? And it was just, you know, like thrown upon her to be a Capitol person? Same with Tigress. Like, it doesn't really say a whole lot about her, but you know, in the book, she's like, looks like a normal human, but in Mockingjay, she looks like a tiger. Like, what made her do that? Like, I would love to know stuff like that. Even on Plutarch, like, what made him decide to be a rebel? Because obviously he was game maker before. What made him decide, this is not right, we need to change this? Even like Finnick or Joanna would be a good one. Any of the victors in Catching Fire that were back in the games and decided, you know, we're gonna save her life because she's gonna change the world. What made them decide to do that? Like, is it because they hated it, that they had to go through that, or what? Like, I would love to know. My little fire bled through onto my calendar, and I didn't realize it until after I had already finished. But oh well, I'll have to work around it. But it did turn out really pretty from the front. Unfortunately, the grass did not turn out as pretty as I would want it to. It kind of looks like a big bunch of blocks, but oh well. So for decor, it was kind of hard this month because I don't really have any like decorative things that relates to anything in this movie. Well, these movies. I really just used green, orange, and that yellow goldy color for washi tape. But all of the stuff I used will be linked in the description for you. Alright, so that's the end of August. Stay tuned to see what I do for September and for the rest of the year. The year is coming to a close, so I don't have a whole lot left for this year. I got 4 months, but stay tuned to see what they are. And thanks for watching, and may the odds be ever in your favor.